Hello and welcome. My name's Ryan Johnson, and this is the Saltcast. And everybody, you were just spared the all the throat clearing and drinking, and you guys will be grateful for that. And you guys will be grateful that our voices sound good, our whistles have been wetted, ready for today's discussion. But I wanted to welcome.
That's a new intro.
Wanted to welcome Danny and Jason on today's podcast. Guys, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, great to be here. Good morning.
today's additional.
Sorry.
Now people know too, if they're watching the video, they know why we had the smirks on our faces as we joined here.
I really appreciate you guys being on today. I think we got a great discussion. A little while back, we talked about kind of what separates us with our sales tax return services. And I always wanted to come back kind of for a round two and talk more about, the technical items, like how we invoice and bill and how it's different in that way, and just kind of benefits that come from that. So I was hoping you guys would kind of talk in that general direction for us.
So very recently, if you have dealt with health insurance, but probably most people are in their renewal period. Everybody's trying to figure out, what am I going to do in 2023 for health insurance? And it's such a racket. And it just always seems to go up no matter what. And it's just really, really expensive to get the kind of coverage that you want to manage the different aspects of life that we all live, right? Just coming out of a pandemic and everything else associated with that. And so there's alternative ways to provide healthcare coverage. And I was listening to a commercial on the radio of a company that said, what if you could pay less and like it more? Like, what if you could actually be happy with the coverage that you have, and that it was effective and worked for you? And I started thinking about that from a sales tax returns perspective, because that's obviously something that we do. And I would say the same thing to our clients and others who have to deal with compliance and reporting. Is what we have found through surveys and study is that a majority of companies aren't happy with the current sales tax process. Now, that's a big deal if there's something you have to do and you're not satisfied with the way that it's done. And that really has us thinking about the way we do things, because we want people to have exceptional experience in working with us and removing this process from their plate and handling it for them. And so I started thinking, like, legitimately, the way we do this, what if you knew something out there that was cheaper and you liked it? And a lot of times people don't even recognize that there's another way out there. And sometimes, I'll say it's not always less expensive, but the approach can be less dramatic and less painful. So if you just think about the traditional way that if you have outsourced or acquired a sales tax return software, or you have an outsourced party handling your sales tax returns, almost exclusively, there's a process to go through to look at your tax calendar, look at your filing frequencies, look at the total number of returns that you're going to file each month, and then essentially look at the total number of returns you're going to file each year. And then the fee for the software and the fee for the outsourced service is based on that number of returns annualized, all due up front, and then we do the work over the next year, right? Well, that's not the way we do it, but that's the traditional way of doing it. And a couple of things that can happen. One, you've got to come up with the budget to fund that. Your filing frequencies can change during the year. They can go up or down, so you could end up filing more or less returns. In the world we live in today, you might need to register in more states or local jurisdictions, or you might need to deregister. based on your situation and how you sell your product. I don't want to digress too much, but remember there's those three questions, and one of them is, the third question is, how do I sell my products or services? And that determines who has the responsibility. So responsibility for collection and reporting can shift in those types of scenarios. So over a 1-year period, you get to the end of your agreement, you're up for renewal, and maybe you owe this balloon payment, this true up, as it's often called, or maybe that gets rolled over into your next year's agreement, right? We're going to estimate what you're going to file next year plus how much, and it's always going to be based on what you filed the previous year. Or you get to the end of the year and you didn't file as many returns as you anticipated, and there's no clause in the agreement that says we're going to give you the money back that you paid in advance for these returns that were never filed. So now you've paid for a service that you didn't use, and it's renewal time, and there's no benefit for that, right? It just creates conflict, and it creates an uncomfortable situation. So you're saying, well, what's your amazing way that you invoice or charge for return services? Well, we just determined a long time ago, anytime you're entering into an agreement, you want it to be upfront what the expectations are and what the cost is going to be. And so ours is just one flat fee per state where you're registered each month to scrub your data, import your data, prepare the returns, file those returns on your behalf, make payments on your behalf, handle notices, provide support, email and phone, a dedicated resource, someone that you can talk to, right? We always say when you have a sales tax issue or a problem comes up, you want to talk to a sales tax expert or a sales tax practitioner, not a sales rep. And you don't want to be sold a support package when you have a question or something has gone wrong. And so you have all of that hands-on consultative approach, and it's just a subscription fee. And it's due each month, and it's due in line with when the services are provided, right? And our agreements, sometimes somebody wants a 12-month or a 24-month or even a 3-year agreement. We don't really do those. And so sometimes we're talking to a company and they're like, well, to get a better price, we're kind of stuck. We entered into a 3-year agreement and we're 8 months into that agreement. Literally, and when they say stuck, they mean we're not happy with our solution, but there's nothing we can do about it because we will have just wasted a bunch of money if we don't continue down this path. So our services are month to month. And it's subscription based, and it's a fee per state or a fee per local jurisdiction where you're registered. You could file 3 returns in a particular state, right? You could file the retail sales tax return, a seller's use tax return, a consumer's use tax return. It's just one fee per that state. We manage that state for you. You might file on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. You might file 0 returns for some periods and a lot of tax in other periods. And so you're always looking, when you're paying price per return, you're always looking for ways to reduce the number of returns or get a discount on the actual dollars that are on that return. So it is a huge breath of fresh air when our clients realize you're just going to handle our compliance and reporting with that state or that jurisdiction for one subscription fee every month, and it's done. It doesn't matter if the filing frequencies change. It doesn't matter what's on that return, lots of dollars or no dollars. It doesn't matter the number of returns that you might be required to file with that state. We're going to handle all of that, and we're going to handle notices that may be associated with that. I will say this about notices. When you tell somebody, listen, we're going to take care of notices, the thing they often say is, well, shouldn't we have no notices if you guys are doing a competent job? Well, that would be the hope, right? And notices are a headache. And if you don't manage notices, if you don't respond to notices, if you don't resolve notices, they can escalate into terrible situations. And that's another podcast altogether on what you face if you don't manage notices that are coming in on your accounts. In the best scenario possible, you're still going to get correspondence from the state. You're still going to get letters from the state. Even if it's done accurately and timely, you're still going to get correspondence that you need to respond to. And part of our subscription pricing is we just flat out take care of that. So for most people, because it's so different than the way that they're used to, they can kind of question it at first, but as soon as they are engaged in it, review after review after review, comment after comment after comment, they love the way that we price for returns. They love the consultative approach to the sales tax return process. They love having a dedicated resource, a human that they can talk to and work through different issues or things that come up. Or maybe they just have a question about how they're doing something. They actually have a sales tax professional that they can talk to and work through some of those questions. And they have feedback during the month. So it's not just a set it and forget it. It's not a long 3-year term contract that doesn't focus on your filing frequency or changes in your footprint or how many returns you're going to file. You've really partnered with someone and outsourced to someone that can just take it on. And you've done it in a way that you can budget because you know exactly what you're going to pay every month, month after month. It's simply based on your registration footprint. I don't know if you have any questions about that, but if the question I would have everybody ask themselves in their mind, in some cases it could be cheaper, in some cases it could be more expensive. But if you could have peace of mind in the approach and like the service better, when you want to know about that and when you want to think about changing to that type of solution, we get very high marks from people who have outsourced elsewhere and move over, or who have been doing it internally and move over. Sometimes they use the same software platform that we use, but having professionals that have used that platform, understand the platform, and understand the input of the data on the collection side and how that applies to the reporting side is invaluable in way of taking this off your plate and getting peace of mind. And what I mean by that is sometimes somebody might be using the same exact platform we're using to prepare their returns and to collect tax. And so they've got a great setup. Well, you can register in a state. You would think, I'm registered for sales tax. Well, you could be registered for sales tax. You could be registered for consumer's use tax. You could be registered for seller's use tax. Really, retail sales and seller's use is kind of the difference in some states. So you might be registered one way, collecting the opposite way based on sourcing and the type of tax that's being collected, and then reporting differently than the way you're collecting, because you might be reporting the way you're registered, but you're not collecting the way you're registered or reporting. All that can be resolved if you just have someone taking a look at it and help get that set up properly. And then a lot of the adjustments and a lot of the other difficulties go away. The other thing that you can control or have control of in this type of scenario is if for some reason there's a difference in what was collected and what is indicated to be reported, that's managed in a process where you have back and forth. In some solutions where you've paid up front for all the returns to be filed, you're also paying additional dollars out of tax because the amount of tax that was calculated to be due on your return is different than what you actually collected. And so now you're paying taxes out of your own pocket. Or maybe you collected excess tax and your provider says, we keep excess tax. Or maybe you're being able to take advantage of timely filing discounts. There actually are some outsourced solutions out there that say the timely filing discount that you receive for filing timely and accurately, we don't give back to you. We keep that. So we're going to charge you a fee, and we're going to keep your timely filing discounts. We don't do that, obviously. The amount of tax that's due with all discounts that the state may offer based on how you file and how you're set up, you get the advantage of that. We're simply your outsourced solution to do that reporting for you. So anyway, that's kind of a long rant, I would say, Ryan, and I don't know if that lines up with exactly what you were looking for, but there is a better solution out there, and you can be happier with how your sales tax processes are being managed.
Yeah, that is directly what I was thinking and hoping her to answer. And I guess the one question that I have, and you've kind of been doing this throughout the podcast, but I know that the kind of the automated sales tax software solutions out there, they do provide, it is based upon some subscription. But I know there's some differences, but maybe you could highlight those differences because we get a lot of people that come from these automated software solutions to us. And I don't know what they're paying, but they could potentially be paying more, but they are happy with the service and they may be getting more for what their subscription includes.
Yeah, it's a good question. There's two sides to it, right? So we tout consistently that automated solutions on the front end of the transaction are almost absolutely necessary. We almost mandate it. I mean, you in today's day, even though you're registered in more jurisdictions because of where your customers are located now, not just where you're doing business, you have a larger footprint and a larger responsibility when it comes to the tax rate that should be collected, where it should be collected from, and on what it should be collected on, right? The taxability, as we call it. You might just sell tangible property that's taxable in every state. It's a fairly straightforward, and so maybe all you need is rates because you can figure this out on the invoicing side. But if you sell supplements, some states they're taxable, some states they're not, some states are at a reduced rate. You need to know that, you need to know the rates, and you need to know the applicability of the tax across all those jurisdictions. And so an automated solution that just takes your product or your SKU and says, if it's this, we've already got all of the research embedded into the system that essentially just looks at the state, the location, and it pulls back the rate and whether there should be tax on it or not. Beautiful. That type of automation is incredible. That's an almost set it and forget it. Some people set it and forget it, and they start collecting when they add SKUs or add products or things change, and now they're taxing something that maybe they shouldn't, or they're not taxing something that they should, which can be even worse. And so you do need someone to look at that. That's one side, and that's usually done either on a subscription basis or it could be a flat fee or a fixed fee, but it's typically done on volume. And so it's they try to determine what that volume is going to be, and then they'll annualize that as well, right? You really won't have that option of paying on a monthly basis. You'll have to pay that up front, or to get a discount, you have to pay it up front. Now, what we call on the backside is that reporting, right? It's taking all of that data that's occurred in that month. There's some set it and forget it's for that, some automated solutions. That's where you're going to potentially run into some frustrations on how it's reported, what form it's reported on, how much is reported, and the pricing for those solutions you would imagine is a subscription basis, but it's not. It's legitimately per return pricing, right? So we just figure out how many returns you're going to be filing on that automated solution, and we're going to charge you upfront annually, whether you file that many returns or not. And if we want to get that pricing down for you, we got a great package for you. You can sign this 36-month agreement, and you can lock in this pricing. And oftentimes you're locking in the pricing for a 3-year agreement, not knowing the level of service that you're going to get. And so that's why we say, just take a minute, jump on a What's Next call. Let's just talk about what that looks like. We're not going to talk you out of an automated solution. We're going to encourage you to use the right solution, and we're going to encourage you with some things that you need to think about and some questions that you can ask so that you understand what this will really look like for you as you roll forward. And obviously, we're going to tell you about how we do it and our solution as well. But the key here is if you want to gain some confidence in whatever step you're going to take, because we're not saying you should never use an automated solution for returns. So plenty of scenarios where that's the best solution. Your pricing is going to be, as we've discussed, per return, and that may work out in your favor or not. And that may just be something that you settle for. But we at least are going to help you gain confidence in the steps that you're taking, right? We constantly talk about collaboration builds confidence, and the reason we say that is Anytime you're left to make a significant decision on your own, you can research, you can study, you can spin your wheels, you can work through different scenarios, and you might just not, you might think of a direction you're going to go, but you just might not be sure. Once you have the opportunity to talk to somebody who might be an expert in the field, a professional, even bouncing the idea off of a friend or a buddy, creates a significant increase in confidence in the direction that you're proposing to go when somebody just gives you a nod and says, yeah, I think you're moving in a good direction, or gives you some other perspective or things to think about as you're making that decision, which help you solidify the direction that you want to go. There's always confidence when you talk to somebody. The beauty of talking to us, I don't want to claim we're somehow more special than anybody else, but when you get a chance to talk to us, number one, it doesn't cost you anything. You're going to feel a level of competency because we've been around for 30 years, and we have individuals that know what they're talking about. You're also going to realize, if you've been on our podcast, you realize that we're pretty straightforward and authentic in our approach and what we're talking about. And you're going to get a sense of confidence in the conversation that we have. So we would say just jump on a What's Next call. Let's chat about your situation, and we hope that we can help you gain peace of mind in whatever direction that you're going to take. But we're always wanting to help people navigate this because it is messy, it is complex, it can be frustrating, but there actually can be a better way. You can actually walk away from this smiling like we smile when you see us on the podcast because it's taken care of, and you have a better sense of the situation and how to manage it.
One of the nice things about getting on a call with us or having any interaction with us is we're not going to assume what that better way is coming into the call, right?
That's such a great point. Yeah.
Specific key, you could say, points of around sales tax compliance that we're always going to discuss because there are rules, right, in sales tax. Mm-hmm. However, each situation is unique, each company's unique, and you highlighted a couple things that are important on kind of the same vein where what we've done with our practices, the way our practitioners operate, the way we onboard clients, the support and consulting that we offer to them, and even our agreements and our pricing, as you've discussed, we've standardized a lot of that. And the focus in standardizing that, one of the key focuses, of course, is efficiency, predictability, setting expectations, and then meeting them. With all that said, the other key, besides standardizing that and all the benefits, is the flexibility. So even though we price things a certain way as our quote-unquote standard, we are very, very flexible based on that business, what they need, kind of their footprint and their compliance, administrative burdens, you could say. We are very flexible in customizing a package, including pricing to that company. And as we move through the process with them in both onboarding and just the you could say month-to-month compliance work that we're doing for them, one thing that's very different than what most everything I've seen in outsourcing that service would be the flexibility there as well. We're very flexible on how we get the data. We're very flexible on even when we get the data, which again, we're going to say like it's ideal to have the data in this format or this type of information within the data. It's ideal to get the data by a certain time each month. However, again, we work with our clients to be as flexible as possible and still make it efficient, and of course, make sure it's a approach to get the returns filed on time.
That's such a good point. But providing some standardization is important, but it doesn't mean you have to be rigid. Exactly. In the approach, and we do get a lot of feedback on the flexibility. It's always funny with data. Our position on data is we can take data in any format, and we can. I'm not just saying that. We can take it in any format. Our preference is that we don't get it in a different format every month, right? So whatever the format is, it's great, and we can create some standardization around that. But if the data is always different, then obviously that can bust your efficiencies, so to speak. But that's the kind of conversation that we're going to have, right? I mean, it's going to be we're going to be looking at your data, identifying what you have available, and helping you with number one, you doing as little as possible other than exporting. And in fact, if you don't want to export it, if we can get access to your system, we'll pull it, right, on a consistent basis. But it's just I think the satisfaction of working with somebody on what that looks like and dealing with little things that may come up. So you definitely want flexibility. It's a good point. Great perspective, Danny.
Now, guys, this is probably one of the longer podcasts we've had, and I really appreciate you guys' insight. And I just want to reiterate that sometimes what it is that draws people to us is just the humanness of it, and how we can be there, and the human interaction and the understanding that we have with each one of our clients, and the ability to just ask a question. If you're concerned about something and you have somebody to just say, hey, what do I do in this situation? You have that with us.
Speaking of human nature, nobody listens past the 22nd minute in a podcast. So we could legitimately talk about anything at this point. We could cover some of our favorite things. Doesn't matter what we talk about or what we do at this point, because nobody listens past 22 minutes. Prove me wrong.
What do you do now then?
Prove me wrong. Go to our live chat on our website if you've made it this far and you're still listening.
That's right. Start chatting with us. So
we
again, thank you guys.
Some sort of prize for people that are still here. Listening.
Yes. If you live chat and say I listened past 22 minutes on that podcast, we will immediately send you one of our popular flat bill Peisner Johnson hats.
Ooh, big time.
Big time.
I'll be waiting for those chats, everybody. But
I feel
again,
like now it's something where we got to take the podcast, put it out there to the masses, and say, if you listen to the end, there's a special prize.
Special prize. It's the hook.
We might have to order more hats. I'm sure hundreds, if not thousands, of requests are going to come in.
That would be the dream. That's the dream. Oh, maybe we make a special hat with the Saltcast logo.
There you go. There
and
you go.
Send
I like
that
it.
out.
We can do that.
Beauty.
It's one of those things. Every time you have a YouTube video, it's like, if we get 100,000 likes on this video, we'll send out something or another. We'll make another video. But anyways.
Oh, man, we got 99,998. We really wanted you to have it, but we didn't get enough responses.
If you're still listening, send us a note. Tell us you listened this long. And if we get enough comments, we will record another podcast next week.
Yeah.
To cap this off, because we could probably digress for hours in this group. I think it's legitimate that when people interact with us, they don't feel a gimmick, right? We don't have gimmicky. There's no gimmicky marketing approach. There's no psychology here, other than to try to share information and help people. You're also not going to get a hard sell, right? There's nobody on our team in marketing and sales and operations side that are going to lay down that hard sell. They really want to help you gain confidence and move forward in next steps. And we hope to be your partner in accomplishing a lot of that, but we also recognize that we're not the answer for everybody. But we're going to give you our idea on what might be the best solution for you, right? Even if it's not with us. So from a human nature standpoint, I just appreciate that when I think about our team, that there's some sincerity in the approach. It's not just a gimmick.
And speaking of sincerity, really do message us. some way, whether it's on live chat, send us an email, info@pj.tax, whatever it is. If you're really listening, because we got some merch laying around, and legitimately we'll send you a hat or a t-shirt.
Oh,
That'd
absolutely.
be fun.
90% of the time, that's 100% true.
I was getting the feeling you were going there with the 60% of the time it works every time, but I was curious how it was going to end. So
Well, usually how I end this is I say, I hope to see you guys on another one. But today it's going to be, I'm excited to see you guys on another one.
How about that?
I love it.
So I'm excited to see you guys on another one. Until next time, guys.
Take care,
See ya.
Ryan.
Bye bye.